We've got people jumping in, which is good. Got Sir Ratana Pinta. Hopefully, I've said that correct. Now, what you'll notice is that you can't put your camera or audio on because I'll be calling people up on stage just to have bits of chats and coaching and all that sort of stuff. So we'll go through that. We'll just wait on a few more people. It's been we've had around 15 people so far register for the masterclass. So I'm expecting a few people to drop off. Unfortunately, that's what happens with free sessions these days, but we'll see how that goes. Now, what I can do, since you're the only one here, Ratana Pinta, I can get you on stage if you'd like to chat. You can also type in the chat box and I'll see it. So how about I do that?
Hey, how's it going, Tansel?
Hey, I can hear now. Going great. How about yourself?
Good, good.
That's the way. So
Looking forward to the session here.
yeah, whereabouts are you?
California, Southern California.
Ah, fantastic. And what's the time up there in California?
It's about 3 p.m.
3 p.m. Okay,
afternoon.
that's all right. Yeah, I was hoping it wasn't 3 a.m. So, yeah, it's funny. I've had a lot of people from India actually register for the session, and I'm thinking, hang on, it's 3 a.m. over there. Why would they register? So amazing. But thank you for joining in. Were you weren't at the last masterclass, were you?
No, this is my first one
Oh,
sign up.
fantastic. Yeah, what I did last time, just to let you know, was it was essentially me just having a chat and showing some techniques and problems that people had and how to go about solving them as well. And there was about
Perfect.
five areas. What I want to do today is something different. I want to talk less and try and solve your problems by chatting to you and giving you essentially some of the skills and tools of what you need. How does that sound?
Sounds great. Sounds
Awesome.
great. This
Now,
is a little bit overwhelming starting getting to this I guess not hobby, but skill. Yeah, for sure.
yeah, yeah. Now, if you like, I can get you to turn on your camera, or are you happy chatting like this? It's
I
up to you.
I would have to join from another device.
Yeah,
So
that
you
we
would
can
see
leave it
two of me
like
one.
this. That's
Okay, okay.
fine. Yeah, as long as we can have the conversation about memory and give you a lot of tools and tips, and hopefully not overwhelm you, put you on the
Yeah.
right path. I think that'll be pretty cool as well.
Yep.
I reckon let's start because this is essentially I'm recording it, and the reason why I'm recording these master classes is because there's a lot of people out there with similar issues and similar challenges. So I thought, why not record something? And if it benefits you, it'll no doubt benefit other people as well. And
Sure.
I can get that out to my social networks, or you can pass it on to other people, and so on.
Yeah.
So it's more of a not me running a webinar to sell something, but more let's help each other out and hope for the best. So thought I'd do something different and see how that essentially goes. Cool.
Sounds good.
Awesome. So tell me, you're saying a bit overwhelmed and stuff. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so just started researching into this recently, and um, just YouTubing ran across your channel, and I haven't made much progress. And I guess what I'm still kind of speculating on the process, guessing what I need to do is figure out what I've come to realize. I think I need to figure out what my goals are, and then there's a different technique to achieve that. That's with the question mark. I'm not sure if my assumptions are correct or not, but yeah, I was looking for some tutorial to say, all right, do this, and I don't think I found that yet, and I think it's because I'm not on the right path to kind of tell me I'm not clear with my objective yet.
Mm.
I'm kind of guessing. So that's what I'm kind of looking forward to. I've been thinking about it. I think I've looked into I guess a more specific goal and kind of talk myself through it. And I think I've found some examples. So we'll see how it goes from there.
Okay, good, good. Yeah, it's it's tricky because memory, it's such an open thing, and having goals is great, obviously, but not having them isn't an issue either because it's more about self-discovery. So when I got into memory, I didn't have any goals, and I just started to learn in the process. Oh, this technique does that, this technique does this, and so on. So it was more about understanding where this could take me, and it's good having that guidance as well. So I'm glad you've figured that out. Are you able to tell me some of those goals that you mentioned as well, now that you've got a better idea? Looks like you were on mute.
There you go. That was
Isn't
once I muted myself, I couldn't unmute without you. So okay. Um, so some of the goals. This is just kind of throwing out, I guess, top five. One of them is learning or remembering details from a book,
Mm-hmm.
right, or an audiobook. Um, Simply as memorizing a deck of cards, the order, right? And everyday stuff like phone numbers, I want to be able to remember. So I think those are realistic goals. Seem pretty reasonable. And be able to recall books details, like when I'm reading a whole book, not just an audio book, but like
Mm-hmm.
details, and then lastly, recipes. That would be cool
Cool, cool. Yeah,
because some of them are simple, and yeah,
yeah,
I
that's
should
pretty
remember that.
cool.
But yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Because those are things that even the most basic techniques will help. Probably the most challenging one there is remembering just details from information. Because there's no one specific tool that would give you, instant sort of improvement. Whereas when you look at things like memorizing your deck of cards and numbers, there's techniques specifically for that. So you'll see
Mm,
a change pretty much straight away when you apply these techniques. And we haven't got many people today, so I'm happy to show you all of that.
cool.
Hopefully, so we can go through. So if you've got pen and paper or your computer, you can take down as many notes as you can,
I do.
which will be
I have.
great. I want to start with the most difficult topic though, but before I do, I just want to say hi to Mark. Mark, good day. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, how are you?
Yeah, good mate, good. Yeah, I'm just what I'm doing this session because you came to the last masterclass. What I'm doing is having for deeper chats with individuals this masterclass. So, talking to Ratana Pinta, sir, from the US, and we're just talking about some of his goals that he has, and I just want to go deeper into them. And as I was talking about before, the most challenging one is probably the details and information. And there's a number of things you can do there. So what do you know any memory techniques or
N-
applied any of them at the moment?
no, that's where I'm getting overwhelmed with, like, everyone's saying something a little bit different. I just know the general term memory palace, but
Yeah.
there's so many different techniques, and that's when I got overwhelmed, and I'm like, all right, let me stop. 'Cause that would just go into a different hole. So
Yeah. Yeah, look, it's I guess now these days as well, especially when you start memory, there's so much information now. When I started, I mean, there was no YouTube, there was no online courses, anything like that. There was still a lot of websites on memory, but they were very limited. I used to go into forums and chat to people to try and understand about memory, and I did find a few courses here and there in person. But otherwise, it was very limited. So it had greater focus learning. But now you can easily get overwhelmed. I mean, my channel's got over 100 videos on YouTube just on memory. And when people say, where do I start? I'm like, oh, shit, I haven't thought about that. So general guidance and direction is very important. But I think you hit the nail on the head. Is that Memory Palace is a good, uh, I guess, a good way to start. It's like essentially having folders on your computer where you put information in to those folders and you can retrieve at any time without even having to worry that you're gonna forget. So that's a good place to start. And if you want to remember lots of big numbers and if you want to remember playing cards, Memory Palace is the best way to go as
okay,
well. So that's the easy part, and I'll deal with that a bit later. But for now, information. right? So when you're speaking about information, can you tell me what is it specifically? Is it books? Is it emails? Is it work-related stuff? Can you tell me a bit more about that?
Okay, so it would just be detail. I don't. So when I'm listening to a book, I don't need to retain all the information, specific details. I just want specific like names or dates or statistics. They're not necessarily work related. Some are,
Mm,
but some aren't. But I want to be able to apply it to everything. But I'm always like audio. I have to bookmark it and say, all right, this is I'm driving and I bookmark it so only to review it later. But sometimes I don't get the
mm,
opportunity, and I'm listening to it. I'd like to be able to remember that
mm.
without having to go back and
Yeah,
be able to recall it.
that's a tricky one. Do you use Audible or?
I do.
Yeah, Audible's great. I love the bookmarking function because you can take notes in there as well, and it pauses the audio. Have you done that? I mean, obviously not when you're driving, but
Yeah.
yeah, have you used that feature before as well
Yeah,
with the note?
I have.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
have.
it's
That's
pretty
pretty
cool.
helpful. And I have. I try to do what I can do.
Yeah.
And that's the only method I know right now. So that's what I've been doing. But being able to consciously remember and recall it later,
Mm.
that's even more helpful.
Okay, so this is what I'd recommend for I mean for anyone learning information because information is essentially there's a lot of it. So in order to make sense of any information that's in long form, it's best to organize it first because once the information is organized, then it's easier to understand. So you're on the process to organizing, you're taking down those notes, you're just not going back and reviewing. So what I suggest is you can actually get those notes and you can add them to what's called a mind map. Excuse me. Have you done mind mapping before?
No, but I think I saw one of your videos. Is it X Map or something like that, or X Mind, something
Yep.
like that? I saw the video
Xmind.
on that.
Yep.
That's all I know of it. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. So that's what I'd suggest is, getting one of those free mind mapping software. And essentially how it works is that you've got a central topic. So it could be the book name, and then you can go chapter one, chapter two, chapter three, four, and so on. And then
Mhm.
underneath those chapters, you might have other headings as well. So you add them in, and then as you're listening, and taking notes, you add those notes that you add underneath the lower branches in the
I
mind
see.
map. So what will happen once you've essentially finished the book and you've got all those notes on the mind map, you'll see those notes organized on the branches.
Mm.
So that means that once you take a good grasp, a good look at that mind map and say, okay, this was chapter one, two, three, you'll start to understand. You'll get a better comprehension because you're seeing where everything fits on the mind map. Whereas if it's notes in a notepad, right, something on page 10 might link to something on page 15. Something on page
Yeah.
25 might link to something on page one. You can't see the links. Whereas a mind map,
Yep.
you could see all the links. So this is a very basic thing to do with information. Once you start adding those bits in, then it's not necessarily you're going to remember. It's more you're going to understand where everything fits. If you want to
Mhm.
remember certain things like names, dates, facts and figures, all of that stuff, that's when you need actual memory techniques to remember from the mind map. So that's
Got
what
it.
I'd suggest. Yeah. So
Okay.
mind mapping, definitely look at that. It's not too difficult, to be honest. Like I said, all you have to do is make that skeleton of the information that you've got, and then add the notes in the organized fashion. And you'd be surprised. Like I used to do this in the workshops I used to run, and one day I gave a book on Japanese to a client of mine who English was his second language, right? He
Hmm.
was Turkish, and I gave him a book on Japanese, and I said, okay, I want you to mind map a whole chapter. Not even read it. I just want you to pick out keywords for like 5 minutes for a whole chapter. So he thought, what the hell is this guy doing? So anyway, we finished that exercise, and after that, because he mind mapped the chapter, he was able to remember what certain words meant, what the chapter was about, and so on. And everyone else in the workshop was going, what just happened? We just, understood everything that this guy was saying, in the chapter. So you'd be surprised what you're able to do just by mind mapping information. So
Okay. So
yeah, definitely give that a go.
Cool. So there's two, so from what I understand, there's two phases. One of them, the first step would be mind mapping, and then applying memory techniques for the specific details. Correct?
Yeah, and there's
Okay.
techniques. Again, we're talking about a lot of techniques here. So if there's information that you have to remember sequentially, right? If
Mm-hmm.
there's more than say 20 items to remember, then a memory palace comes in handy, right?
I see.
If it's less than say 20 items, then just simply making a story connecting one thing to another, which is called linking and association. That's just as good as any technique, because what you're doing there is building a strong connection of things. So, for example, if I've got say a few items, say let's say mobile phone, I've got a glass of water, and I might have I've got a box here. I don't know what's in it. I haven't opened it yet, but there's a
Mm-hmm.
box. So all I'm going to do is, and you probably know what the linking works like. I throw my mobile phone, hits a glass of water, it breaks, and it lands on this box that maybe is electrical. I don't know. Actually, I'm going to check inside this box. Okay, it's like antibacterial wipes in there. Cool. So that's how the system works, right? So I just made
Okay.
three connections there. And if you've got list of 10 things, it's easy to connect those. And once you've applied that throughout your whole mind map, you've essentially memorized, a lot of it as well. You don't have to memorize your whole mind map, only memorize the
Mm-hmm.
bits that you need. And I think that's where people get mixed up is they say, oh, I just want to remember everything from the book. No, you generally understand what's in the book. You just want trigger points that help you get that understanding. So that's where the memory techniques can come in very handy as well. Like certain names, we'll take Mark for example, right? Maybe it's a check mark that you're trying to remember, right? So, and
Yep.
his photos like this is really cool. He's a cool dude. I know Mark, right? So, he's maybe his hand is like a check mark. It's got that little check there. So, that's how I remember his face. So it's just by
I'm always happy to be someone useful in somebody's memory technique.
That's it, man. That's it. I knew you'd come in handy, but yeah. So we're just using the checkmark figure there. So that's the association. So to remember names, it's actually very simple. The difficulty with names is that it's very abstract, right? Your name, Ratana Pins. It's very difficult, right, for someone looking at it.
Yeah.
Maybe not for you, obviously, but
Yeah.
to remember it, you can essentially break it down as well. Like you've got rat there, right? You got Anna, you got Pinta, right? So maybe I'm giving a rat to Anna. I thought of Anna Kournikova, the tennis player. Don't know why, but giving her a rat in her little Pinta, like those little cars, right? So that's what I
Mm-hmm.
visualized very quickly. Now, obviously, someone else is going to take a longer time making up those associations. But that's how you essentially look at the names as well. So when you're going through your mind map of information, do your linking, do your bits of notes onto the branches. And then also, if there's any facts, figures, just make the associations, and everything will be a lot stronger from there as
Got
well.
it.
Cool. So, any
Cool.
questions on that one?
I don't think so. So mind mapping is not is it considered a technique, but it's not a memory technique?
It kind of is, because once
Okay.
information's organized and you start looking at the mind map, you can actually color the mind map branches in, right? And it becomes a memory technique because subconsciously you say, oh, the red branch was actually this topic, or the blue branch was this topic. So once you start coloring in, you can even add images like clip art or whatever it is these days that you can add and make things memorable. So yeah, it can be
Okay.
a memory technique, not just a note-taking tool, but a memory technique as well. Yeah.
From an outside perspective, looking in when I was looking at other videos on mind mapping, it seems like it's almost a note-taking tool or skill. It's like a method of note-taking, and by just doing that, it's a more modern approach, I guess, or
Mm.
non-standard way of taking notes.
Yeah.
Um, that's what it seemed like, when you're, I think, using Xmind or something like that.
Mind mapping is a very what do I call it? It's what you make of it. For example, when I first started, I only did it for notes, but then I realized that I started coaching my clients, I started creating people's goals around it. So if you've got goals, let's say you want to work on communication skills, or you want to speak in public without notes, or you want to read faster and better, and so forth, you create branches around that. And then underneath those branches, say, okay, what are all the tools, techniques, resources, books, everything that I need to make these goals happen. So you start branching out, and it becomes almost like your to-do list, goal checklist, and so on. So I do that with a lot of my clients, and it's fantastic to work from because it gets away all the ambiguity, and you can start to really see where you're going instead of just hoping for the best. So you can use it in many, many different ways.
Cool. Thanks. Yeah, no, that's answers my questions on this piece.
Tansel, this sort of dumb, maybe a dumb question. When you're using a mind mapping actual tool, obviously they're really good at basically going at helicopter and then specific, right? So you gather lots of information around it. Are you saying from a memory perspective, what makes mind mapping so useful is effectively at the high level, if you've got three main points, it's the linkage between the main points and their sub points. So that you say, okay, you remember you wanted to, remember presentation notes. So in your presentation notes, you remember that these are the three main topics. They're anchored, and then you have the subtopic that you go down, but then you remember to come back to the main topic rather than going down a rabbit trail.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's a really good distinction because, a lot of people try and remember the outer details of a mind map, right? Because that's what they're delivering, or that's what the knowledge is, right? But in essence, your job isn't to remember everything, right? Your job is to understand what you're communicating. And therefore, if you can remember the high branches, right? The chapter headings or even the subheadings, right? Then what it does is enables you to create a trigger for the rest of the knowledge, right? You may not say a sentence perfect, but at least you'll have a better understanding. So often when I work with people that deliver their speeches, right, they come to me with 6-page scripts. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? So I tear apart their scripts, and it turns out they only need to remember 6 points because everything else underneath those points they already know. Right. So all you really need is to just connect those points in a sequence and you've got your talk remembered. Right. Now, obviously, it can get a lot more detailed than that. But if you remember the first level and even sometimes a second level, that's enough to really get you understanding the deep down. And I do this for a lot of professional exams as well. People that come to me sitting the bar exam, financial exam, medical exams. The understanding is just as important. Yes, there might be specific things that you have to memorize in order. That's when I say use memory techniques. But by and large, memory techniques are only about 10-15% of what to memorize for information, believe it or not. The rest is all comprehension and understanding. Hopefully that's answered some of your question.
Cool. Thanks.
Now, before I get on to the memory palace stuff, I want to talk a bit to Mark as well, if that's okay. So, Mark, you said I think, were you here at the last? You were at the last masterclass, weren't you?
Nope.
No? Okay.
Nope.
See, there's my memory for you. Failed.
No, that's right.
Failed. Yeah, last masterclass. What happened was that I essentially went through a memory palace and talked about a lot of the problems people sent through. This masterclass, I want to talk more about your problems, or it doesn't have to be problems, but challenges, things that you want to, get through. I'm also recording as well. So, sometimes, people might think it's a tiny problem, but for some other people maybe listening or watching, it could be quite huge. So, anything that you can give us that you can share that we can work together and solve, I'll be more than happy to discuss.
It's probably really just the basic stuff for me. It's nothing really complicated. I think running up in it around remembering sort of books and key points and cards and things like that. That's the general stuff. For me, it's one of my challenges at that particular time, if you meet someone and they give you their names and details and all that sort of stuff, and then I swear I'm going to memorize it. I try to anchor it and all that sort of stuff, and then I actually lose the hook at some stage. Like, oh, what was it? Like even simple things, you meet 5 people on the oval walking a dog, and you go, okay, what's the name of the dog? What's the name of the person? So that the next time it's literally stuff like that. Yeah. It's nothing more complicated than something that for me, it's the trigger of something you want to memorize, be it any bit of information, shopping list, what have you, and then losing that anchor. right, for later, so that you have to recall it. So that's probably my biggest thing. So and it's not uncommon. I also listen to quite a few audiobooks and stuff like that. And you go, oh, that's a great stat for a podcast or something along those lines. So what do? You quickly get out your phone and put it in your notes section or something along those lines. That would probably be the main thing. So there's nothing sort of, I think it's pretty much stock standard in that sense. Sorry, Tansel, not to be, has some sort of very crazy, unique,
this is
crazy, unique thing.
This is exactly what I was looking for, and the challenge that you got is absolutely real and happens to everyone that learns memory techniques, right?
Yeah.
So when you first learn memory techniques, Ratana Pinto, you probably come across this. You come across the knowledge, right? And there's a lot of it at the moment. So you learn a few things. You learn memory palace, you learn linking, and so on. Then you start practicing those skills. And then you get to a certain point where you can actually remember stuff. I'm like, okay, that's cool. But what happens is that you want to put this to real life practice, and it doesn't go as planned a lot of the time. So you're remembering a name, and you can remember a name for a while, but what happens is that can easily be forgotten, right? And the reason why things get forgotten is the anchor that Mark was talking about. Is broken because the connection is not strong enough, or it hasn't been visited for a while, because spaced repetition, as you probably know, Mark, you're a learning professional. You're meant to go, when you memorize something or learn something, you're meant to go back, say a couple of hours later, revisit it, review it, and then a day later, a week later, 2 weeks later, and so on. So that's the thing there. Now, when you meet people, you might meet them once, do the memory application, remember their name, but not see them for more than 2 weeks, or maybe a month or 6 months. So you've only got that one little association, right? How often are you going to go back and review their name, right? If you're conscious of it, maybe you do it once, but that's about it. So the real strategy around that is that it's twofold. One is review measures, being conscious and aware that, okay, if I am really going to remember these people's names or this bit of information and so on, I am going to make an effort. I'm going to put in my diary. I'm going to do whatever to review it in 2 hours' time, in a week's time, in 2 weeks' time, and make that sequence there. So you pop them in your calendars and you create a schedule for yourself for review. Now, remember, when we're remembering something in real life, you're not really remembering that many things, to be honest, right? Even if you're, someone that works in a field where all you're doing is memory, it's still not that much, right? So
this is a guy who's remembering the yellow pages.
Yeah, well, that was just a one-off exercise that someone gave me. So I don't have a use for memory techniques. I only teach it now. So isn't that funny? So in reality, everyday life, you're not going to need memory techniques that much, but it's good to practice. So that leads on to the second way of doing things is memory training, right? Because if you're training your memory, what you're doing is you're taking your anchoring, you're taking your storytelling, because that's what memory is. It's actually storytelling. You're taking that ability to the next level, right? What does that mean? That means that when you're remembering someone's name next time, when you're reading a book, when you're solving problems, whatever it is, now it's at a higher level, right, of connection. You're now encoding a lot faster. Your processing speed is faster. Everything works better. The quality is better. So, and this is from training. So that's what I always recommend to people is, have those, review periods, but also train your memory as well. That's the big thing. And there's several ways of training your memory. I think Ratana Pinto, I mentioned to you, Memory Palace is a great way of training your memory. There's also a website that I recommend as well, and it's free. It's called memoryleague.com. I'll type it in the chat box here, memoryleague.com. You can go on here and there's like numbers, playing cards, names and faces. You can get on there and start training, and they've gamified memory training, so it becomes quite fun, right? So they give you a minute to memorize as many names as you can, or a 1 minute to memorize as many playing cards as you can. Obviously, once you know the techniques, you can go on there and start playing around. and really seeing some results. Because what it does is once you start the techniques and you apply them on here, then you want to get up to the next level and then the next level after that. So that's one way of practicing. Another way is I'll write down another website, which is on my website actually, is a bunch of downloads you can get, right? So I'll put these all in the chat box. And the downloads have even more list of words. So I've got like easy, hard, and hardest words so you can practice on. It's also got some spreadsheets in there and so on. So you can download some of these things and start training your memory. And the goal is to get faster, right, at memorizing, but you want to build up quality as well. So hopefully, Mark, that's giving you, two options there to really boost that anchoring, because us memorizers, memory experts, I guess, memory athletes, our memorization has gone up several notches because what we've done is we've trained our memory to the highest level. Average everyday person, you can still get it up several notches as well. You just got to practice these techniques. It's like going to the gym and exercising or going for a run, right? If you don't do that, then you may not be fit as what you will be if you go and exercise. So that's really the difference there.
Cool.
How's that?
Sure, thank you.
Mark?
No, it's cool. Thank you.
Awesome, man.
That's useful for me too. Yeah, thanks for sharing those links.
Yeah, oh look, that's good. Yeah, I mean, my job here is to try and give you all the tools and resources. They're two that I recommend. The other one, as mentioned earlier, is XMind for the mind mapping. That is a free. Well, if you go to the website, they want you to get the paid version, but there is a free version as well. It's XMind 8. So if you look for XMind 8, that's good. Otherwise, there's heaps of other mind mapping programs out there.
I do use XMind. I think I downloaded like eight years ago or something, and they said, "Oh, your free trial's still going on." I go, "Okay, that's a very long free trial, but thanks."
Yeah, exactly. And so there's so many. Like if you use an iPad, there's really good ones for the iPad. There's good ones for the Mac. There's MindNode, which is really fun to use on a Mac. It really depends. I mean, I'd say it's more horses for courses. So if you're used to taking linear notes and mind mapping slows things down and you don't like it, then don't use it. It's not the be all and end all. It's just a system that once you start using it and you can use it to your advantage, it really helps. So, I still take linear notes and I love it. But there's moments where I'll only do a mind map as well. So, when I wrote my book, for example, or both my books, I wrote them in 10 days, right? 50,000 words in 10 days I wrote. And people look at me and go, how the hell did you do that? Well, I mind mapped everything first. It took me 15 minutes to mind map my book that I, thought I was going to write. Right. So I knew I had an introduction, I knew I was going to have an ending, conclusion. In the middle was going to be some sort of techniques and stories. And I filled them out as branches. And then what I did was, okay, what am I going to have in an introduction? I'll tell them a bit about my story, how I got into it. And as I started filling the gaps, then when writing came, it was easy to fill in the gaps because I already had the main heading. So there's another one for you as well. The use of mind mapping as a skeleton to build up information, not just put information in.
Yep.
Cool. Did you have anything else to add on that, Mark?
No, I just I'm looking at your website where it says binary numbers. Okay, so the practical application of remember. I used to work with someone who could actually read binary.
Yeah.
And I just go, it's a bit like the Matrix. You go, well, what are you looking at? He goes, oh, you go, that's saying this over here, that's saying that over there. I go, okay, that's kind of weird, but okay.
Yeah. Binary numbers, they used to be an event in the memory competitions. And
okay.
it's like there's code there. So I mean, I've come from a computer science background. So 000 is 0, 001 is 1, 010 is 2, 011 is 3, and so on. Right. So and what we do is we break up those digits in singular. So if it's 33, it's 011011. Right. So 6 digits equals 2 decimal digits. And then we use the major system to memorize it. But, I'll go through that now, actually, on how to memorize numbers and cards. How does that sound, Ratanapinta?
Sounds good.
Yeah, because I know you mentioned that you want to be able to do it. And, why not give you something? I know we've got less people than usual, so we could spend a bit more time on this, and why not? You give you something to take away and freak people out with as well.
Yeah, bar tricks, and plus it kind of just a new skill. I like to pick up something new, and it's a little bit of a challenge. So
yeah, and like I said, you can use this as memory training as well once you're able to do it. So here we go. So all right, so what are we doing? Are we memorizing numbers, playing cards? What would you like to start off at? That was for you.
sorry, my
Ratana
daughter was
Pinto.
my daughter was in the
Okay.
background. I had to mute her.
Cool.
So yeah, cards a deck. I'm gonna follow your lead. I have no idea where to start.
Okay, cards. You've gone straight to the harder one. Okay, but you know what? We're gonna do it. We're gonna play around. Here we go. All right. So to memorize a deck of cards, I'll go through the basic overview first, and then I'll go through the actual technique. Because once you understand the overview, the techniques will seem a bit simpler as well. So to memorize a deck of cards, there's 52 playing cards if you don't count the jokers and all that sort of stuff, right? And the goal is to memorize them all in order, right? So you shuffle the deck of cards, and then the cards are presented to you. Excuse me, and then you memorize each card one by one. Put the deck down, and then rattle them off the top of your head, and flip them over one by one. So that's what you were sort of thinking of, yeah, essentially.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, cool. And you can do this online as well, so you don't even need to Dex. But Dex is fun. Like I said,
it sounded to me, Tansel, like he wanted to go to the casino and count cards.
That is definitely not up there. But hey, who knows? But
well, yeah.
You said order to impress the in-laws or someone when they're coming over. So watch me do this.
It was more of I was mentioning it and passing with my wife, and then she was so skeptical. And then I said, "Challenge accepted."
Yeah. It's probably right, actually. But so Tansel, I'd put that down as my wife says you got a hopeless memory. So if we're able to achieve this in a defined period of time, then it would basically put our mutual wives in their mutual shame boxes.
Yeah. I mean,
maybe not shame or impressed or not. Shame's the wrong term. I don't know what the word for it is.
Yeah, a lot of my time is spent trying to convince my wife, and it fails miserably. So if I can help. That's that would be amazing. Yeah. All right, cool.
But seriously, if you're in a car with your wife and your wife says, "Oh no, this is where it was. It's over here on the left." Do you say, if you haven't anchored that thought or whatever, do you say, "No, that's not. I remember it from this point," or do you do that sort of stuff or no?
Look, I admit defeat from the very start. It's you can't. My wife's a psychologist.
That's just a marriage tip.
So you're saying, like, if you had that fight 10 years ago about something and you because you haven't stored it, you remembered a different way, you go, "Yep, you're right, honey. You're right. That's what would happen."
Even if I'm right, I'm still wrong. That's how I see it with marriage. So, like I said, I've accepted defeat. I'm happy that way. You can't win. So even if you memorize a deck of cards in front of her in 30 seconds, I don't know your wife. If I did that in front of my wife, she'll go, "Oh, yeah.
What's
anyway, I don't want to talk badly. This is a good conversation. Love you, Monique. All good. We're just playing around. So,
so that would be considered a marriage technique, not a memory technique.
That's correct. And my wife is a marriage counselor too. So I've got no chance.
In that case, I have a brilliant marriage because I don't remember anything.
Plead the fifth.
Cool.
Cool. I forgot where we were. No, I'm only kidding. So playing cards, right? Yeah. The trick to memorizing playing cards is every card has an image, right? So, and you don't need to memorize these images, but it does help. So that's one thing I'm going to talk about it later. So every card has an image. You have 52 images. Then all you have to do is connect those images together to make a story, and that's it. Now you can connect them one by one. You'd have 52 stories together. That would be very long. It would be more of a challenge. So that's where something like a memory palace comes in. Now, with the memory palace, Ratana Pinto, I want to ask, what have you learned so far when you've looked at the memory palace, just so I get a sense of where you're at?
The only place that really started was my own home. That's pretty much it. In the beginning, I was like, do I actually have to memorize a palace? But I understand the concept now. It's like wherever you go. So now I'm trying to inventory, like when I'm going to the gym or whatever, trying to build more palaces. But I'm still extremely new to this. But that's my understanding of it.
Cool. So memory palace, method of loci, as the ancient Greeks called it, or journey technique, or they're all the same. Essentially, how it works is you have a fixed point. Say I have one around my house as well, and I'm starting at the start of my house, and I move in sequentially because memory palace is used for remembering things in order, in sequence. So if I was to create locations around my house, for example, my one, for example, starts at my front fence. And then from the fence, it moves on to the front door. And then that's my second location. My third location, it goes into the bedroom. Now, I don't say bedroom because a room is too general. I have to pick something specific. So I go into my bedroom and I might say window, right? And then as I move in, I'm going clockwise to keep the sequential order. Then the next thing for me is bed. And then I go into the ensuite. Now, instead of saying, that, I say, okay, there's a shower, sink, toilet, and so on. So what I do is I write these down. I say, number one is this, number two is that, and so on. I don't try and memorize it off the top of my head. I've got whole spreadsheets full of these as well. So have you written your locations down?
Nope.
Okay, cool.
Didn't even know I was supposed to do that, but that's okay.
That's cool. So that's what I'll get you to do. Just write down 10 locations for now.
Okay.
Because we're not going to do a whole deck. It might be, very, very long. So we haven't got much time. But if I show you the process, then you'll get to do the rest anyway. So 10 locations. So start from, wherever, like the starting point of your house. Some people like to start from the backyard, wherever it is, and just keep going. So I'll give you a bit of time to do it as well. Have you got locations as well, Mark?
Sure. It's a new technique to me.
Cool. Go for it.
So you want me to remember 10 places in the house in a sequential order?
Yeah.
Do you want me to assign a number or something to each one? Or
yes, please. Yeah.
Okay. And write it down. Yeah.
Write it down. Yes.
Okay. I like you. It's funny when you said, I start at the front fence, because my first thing was like, the garage door. And you go, hang on, there's a lot more I can remember to the house, and then I can take it up the road, and then you can take it up the whatever, walk it every day, blah, 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 blah. But okay, I'll shut up. Okay. All right.
I really do hope this Zoom is recording, by the way, because we have got some gold out of today, which is good. But
no, what I remember is I think when we last met, you had one of your claims, which is I can improve your memory in half an hour by like 200%. Yeah, 200%, right?
That's right.
And you don't believe, and you say, okay, you did the test of remember these 10 words, and you remember what 3 or 4 of them or whatever it is, and then you come back and you go, I remember 7 or 8, and you go, okay, it does work. Okay.
Yeah, the reason why I said 200% is it's actually being calculated at that. So the average, and I've worked with hundreds of people, doing this, or probably thousands, because I do the speaking gigs, right? The average score for that test that we did was 6 out of 20, right? And then when people do the actual technique apply, the average is 18.
Okay.
Yeah. So
wow.
18 to 20. So that's just an example. It's not going to translate to everyday life, but once you use these techniques, it is a massive difference. Yeah.
I seem to be remembering too many doors. You said don't do doors, do objects, or how?
Yeah, doors are objects as well, because you're still going to get images of them. So I'd still include doors in there. That's not a problem. Yeah. How are you going, Ratana Pinto? Have you done your 10 locations?
I do. And the locations, you're talking about locations within my palace, right?
Yeah. So what have you got?
Okay,
Just go through them one by one.
Yeah. So from the outside, mailbox, walkway, the front deck, living room, small bedroom, small bathroom, master bedroom, master bathroom, kitchen. I keep on going. Laundry room,
Okay,
dining room.
there's
Yeah.
10. So you've gone in and picked the rooms.
Yeah, was that with intent as a location or?
Yeah, well, this is the interesting thing. It's actually, the location isn't a location; it's an object. So
Oh,
if you're going
okay.
into say a kitchen, right? Don't say kitchen. Say toaster, oven, fridge, pantry, things like that, right? So try
Mm,
and pick just do the first 10 things that come into your head
okay,
as an object. Yeah, and you can
got it,
expand all
got it,
the other ones out as well.
got it, got it. Okay, okay.
Cool.
Let me refine that real quick. I can make that real quick.
How about you, Mark? How's your
I'm
location?
quickly going back and yeah. Even now, it's like, okay, garage door, mailbox, cool. I could say, should I include a mailbox? Would I remember that in that order, or would I remember that's number one? Or anyway, I'm almost there. I'm just typing it.
Ah, awesome.
I'm taking your advice and making it more object focused.
Yeah. So some people say, "Oh, can I have?" You mentioned the doors. Like some rooms, there's like 4 windows, or 3 windows.
That's right.
Like, can I get a window? Yeah, you can, because the visualization is different for each one, and the story is going to be different for each one. And we'll go through that as well. Yeah.
Okay. I think this is better, but let's see if I'm on track. Mailbox. I got the actual walkway steps. The for each step, there's only a few of them, but I'm envisioning
Yep.
the blocks. And then when I get up to the deck, I said there's a chair, 2 chairs and a table. So those
Nice.
things. There's also 2 fish ponds. That's right there. Um, and then when I come inside the house, walk through the door, there's a shoe rack that's right there, and then there's a sofa right next to that.
Yep. That's I've got 6. Hang on. So is that 10 that you've got?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's do the end tables next to the sofa, end tables,
Cool.
and then fireplace. That's easy.
Awesome. And yeah, we'll do 10 for now, and then
Okay,
you can keep expanding
sure.
after today anyway. So that's all good. All right, awesome. So Mark, you've got yours. I'm guessing you're finishing off.
Yeah.
You've got,
It's interesting. How specific do you recommend to go? So similar to Ratanapida. Am I saying that?
I just go by sir, but I know I've do the whole thing. I just go by sir.
Okay, that's cool. I want to get it right, and then I realize you do the Australian thing, which is you kind of like blend all the words together. Go la la la.
I just go by. Just call me sir.
Thank you, sir. I mean no disrespect.
No.
Okay, so I've got gate 1, garage door 2, pond window 3. Funny how we both have ponds, right? Front door 4. I just like because I remember it sort of rhymed as well.
Yep.
Study 5, laundry 6, kitchen 7, couch 8, hallway 9, pool 10.
Okay. Yeah, I can confirm that's correct. Yep. I just confirming that's correct. Yeah, that's good.
You're putting it in your memory. I realized that you're gonna play this. You're gonna play a game with us, and you're gonna make us all.
I know all your houses. I can read your mind.
Oh, sorry. Money safe 10, diamond and jewels 11.
Safe code.
Safe code. Yeah. Binary 011012.
Oh, dear
This is just a scam to break into our house. Alarm code. Yeah, there we go.
You got me, man. It took 50 minutes, but you got me. You broke me.
Hypnotized. I'm hypnotized now. Jeez. Branch BSB account code. Here you go.
That's it. You've got my snake oil. All right. So we've got locations. Awesome. Now for the deck of cards. Now, you can't just chuck a deck of cards into locations. They have to have an image. So the trick is, how do you determine an image for a card, right? This is something I'm going to go through and I'm going to have to get you to write this code down. There's a specific code, right? It's called the major system. Have you heard of the major system? Any of you? Yeah, major system.
No.
Nope.
Okay. So I want you to write this code down, and essentially it's converting digits of numbers into letters, right?
Yeah.
So 0, and we're going to do it at the basic level. 0 equals T or D. So T or D, right?
Mm-hmm.
1, sorry, I messed up. 0 is an S or Z. There you go. I messed up. S or Z for
S
0.
or Z.
Yep. All right, because it sounds like 0, right? So
Got it.
1 is T or D. 1, T or D. Number 2 is an N. So if you switch the 2 around, it can look like an N.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, 2 is an N. 3 is an M. So M for McDonald's.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You can turn that around as well.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like an M.
Okay, I see
Yeah.
what you're doing. Yeah.
Number 4 is an R. So I don't know how you can turn the 4 around, but just yeah, it's an R. Number 5 is L. Number 6 has a lot of things, but I'm just going to give you a few. Number 6 is sh, the sh sound. So this is all phonetic, by the way. Sh, so SH. Also, it's CH, like ch. All right, so sh, ch. Number 7 is k sound, so K. Right, it's also a C, but it's a k sound like cat. Right, so K and C like k. Number 8 is F or V.
Is F is in Foxtrot or V is in Victor?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, that's it. And then number 9 is P or B. So 9, if you turn 9 around, it looks like a P sort of anyway, and just draw a belly on it, it'll become a B.
Is
So
it
there's the
T as in
code.
Tango? Like-
P as in
P as in Papa. Got it.
Papa, that's right, yeah. So Papa, and what was B?
Bravo.
Bravo, that's the one. Yeah, cool. So that's from 0 to 9. Now, all we have to do is put digits together. So if you have a number like 21, right? 2 is an N, 1 is a T. You can make up a word with that, like net, for example, right? What about the number 92? What word can you make up for that?
Pen.
So it's a P.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, good one. Pen. What
All right.
else? You can keep going. You can put vowels in between or even before.
Got it. Or Ben, like a name.
Yeah, yeah, very good. What about 67?
Shock.
Yeah, you can also have further letters down as well, like chocolate, for example, right? Because you're just taking the first 2 digits, the rest of the numbers you don't have to worry about, right? So chocolate.
Ah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
So the word can be chocolate, but you only are interested in
Yeah.
the first 2.
Exactly, yeah. I'm only using the first 2,
okay.
so that's fine. Yeah, how about 34?
Oh.
Oh,
Mars.
Yeah, you can have Mars, you
yeah.
can have Mark.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was looking at your name, Mark, and I'm like, 34.
Yeah. Obviously, there's no vowels in there, is there? Yeah, so you can use the vowels in
You
between
can
the
use
words
the
easily.
vowels, that's right. As long as you don't use the letters in the code in between, you're set. So
Got it.
Okay.
that's how we do it. So that's just the very basics of it. That's how you remember numbers, by the way. So for numbers, if you have the digits, for example, 55 and 21, right? So 55 could be the word lily, like the flower, and you put the
Mhm.
flower onto your first location, right? You make a little story, and then you get 27, which could be a neck or Nike, and then you put maybe a Nike shoes onto your second location. So you can do one image at a time. I'm going to show you how to use this, not just for numbers, but for cards, because that's what we're working on, right? So if we want to create an image for cards, we've got a suit and we've got a number, right? Now, to create an image for the card, what I generally do, and this is just the method that I use, it was a method from Tony Buzan's book, Use Your Memory. So that's what I use, and it's fairly basic. What I do is I create a word from the suit image. So if it's a spade, the word is going to start with an S, right? If the card is a diamond, the word's going to start with a D. If the card is an H, it's going to start with an H. And if it's a club, it's going to start with a K sound. Do you get it so far?
Yep.
So you can make whatever notes you have for that. So if I have 2 of clubs, the word is going to start with K, right? And because I've got a 2 there now, right? What's 2 in major system converted to?
N.
So now my word is going to be K and then N. So what's a word I can make with that?
Cooking.
Not quite.
Cooking?
It's got a K in there.
Okay. So one word or 2 words? Are you looking for like one word that has
you
both?
can keep going. It's more about the code. It's got the K sound first, and then it's got the N next. So it's like the number 72, for example, in the major system.
Can.
Yeah. Can. You can have can. Right. So that's 1. We'll keep going. What about 2? No, I won't say 2 again. Gee. 4 of diamonds. Right. So the word starts with D, and now you have to connect it with the letter for 4.
So D and R. So
just say doctor.
Yeah, that's easy.
Yeah.
You can have doctor. Yep. You can have door. You can have deer.
Drama.
Yep. Exactly. So it's good. We're getting there. Let's do another one. 9 of hearts.
Harp.
Ooh, it's got an R in there. So you want to be able to...
Oh, that's right. So we want to avoid... I get it.
Yep.
Happy.
Yes. Very good. So you've got a bit of an understanding now, of how to decode from the first
you memorize the suit first and then the number.
Well, you sort of know the suit, right? That the letter it starts with. So it's more about translating the number. So we know from 2 to... Hang on. Number 1 is going to be ace, right? So if you have ace of spades, that's going to be S and T or S and D. So it could be seat or it could be sad, right?
Yep.
So that's ace is 1. Number 10 is 0, right? So you're going ace 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 10 is 0, right? So you've got that in the code, right? So that's easy. We can make up words and images for that. The difficulty now is, okay, we've got Jack, we've got Queen, and we've got King, right? So here we're going to use a different method because using the major system can be a bit of a pain in the ass. I call it in a technical term in Australian, right? So for the kings, and this is what Tony Buzan does, I absolutely love it. All he does is, if it's a king of hearts, he just imagines a really big heart, right? If it's a king of spade, he imagines a really big spade. King of clubs, he pictures a really big club. King of diamonds pictures a really big diamond. So it's the actual suit that you're visualizing. Right? So kings, done. That's easy. Now,
got it.
For the queens, what I do is I actually have females in for the queens and males in for the jacks. So, for example, Queen of Hearts for me was Princess Diana. Well, that's how long I've been training my memory. I had Princess Diana for Queen of Hearts, right? Queen of Clubs for me was Madonna, right? So I associated clubbing, clubs, nightclubs for Madonna, right? Jack of Hearts for me is Romeo. King of Hearts, well, actually not King of Hearts, Jack of Diamonds was who do I have? Jason from Friday the 13th for some reason. I don't know why, but I've got him. Right. So what you can do for that in your own time, we won't look at it now, is create your own people, right, for the Jackson Queens. Right. So
Got it.
once you've done that, I won't get you to do it now, but once you've done that, you'd have images for everything from ace all the way down to kings. And
Yep.
because you know the suit names start with the actual word, you know how to create the image. So if it's 10 of diamonds, it could be D and S, or D and Z. So it could be those, for example, right? So now I do understand we're slightly over time. Is it okay if we just have 5 more minutes to go through this card memorization?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah,
Thank
is
you.
that okay with you, Mark? Or are you gonna get off
No, it's
somewhere?
horrible, mate. We'll forget it.
I
Done.
thought so. I thought so.
Yeah, forget it. Yeah,
Okay,
all good.
cool. So now, all right. So we're not going to go on for too long. Not going to get you to memorize all 52. I'm just going to show you the process. Once you understand that process, you can then apply it for all the other cards. So, all right, here we go. We've got location 1. Now, I'm going to give you a card, right? And the card I'm going to give is, let's say 4. No, I won't say that. 4 of diamonds. All right. Now, 4 of diamonds is what? What image comes to your head when you think of 4 of diamonds using that code?
For me, it's doctor.
Doctor is the easy one.
Doctor. Okay, now your first location. What I want you to do is I want you to connect doctor to your first location.
Okay.
But what story can you make? This is all about association now. What story can you make with doctor and your first location?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to hear it, or you just want to?
Yeah, that'll be good. Yeah, that'll be great.
Okay. I got a doctor delivering mail at my mailbox.
That's pretty easy. And how do you visualize the doctor? Because it could be anyone.
He's wearing what he's wearing identifies him as a doctor, and he happens to be delivering mail that day.
Okay, good. So 4 of diamonds, what was that for you, doctor? And the image was your mailbox for your first location, right? So that's the story. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another card, and you're going to connect that card to that story again. So we're putting 2 cards onto 1 location, right? So the next card is 8 of spades. So what word can you create for 8 of spades?
So ace spades. So spade would be S sound, and the ace. Oh, that's the number 1. Got it. So
So that's S. S is S sound.
spade,
And
right?
8 is F or V.
Oh, we're doing 8. I thought you said ace. Ace is spade.
No, sorry,
I
ace
had
of
ace
spades.
2. I thought it was ace 2.
Okay,
Yep,
so
my
that's
bad.
different. Okay,
8.
no problem. So S, and then F. San Francisco.
That could work. Yeah, as long as you get an
Yeah.
image for San
Yeah.
Francisco, you can abbreviate it, I guess. You put SF. That'll work.
Yeah.
Yeah. What image comes to your head for San Francisco?
The Golden Gate Bridge.
Golden
the
Gate Bridge, of course.
Yeah.
Right, cool. So how do you connect that now to that original story that you created with the doctor and the mailbox?
The sender, or the sender, whoever's from, has a mail from of San Francisco.
Yeah, and
Whoever's
what do you
sending these in.
visualize there? Is there a huge stamp of the bridge, or what can you see?
The stamp, or the person that's from, is it's got a stamp, and it's got a picture of a bridge on the stamp or something like that.
Awesome. Now, that's something that could happen in real life, right? In our minds, where we're making the story, we could essentially have the bridge there, right? Maybe he's trying to fit the bridge into the mailbox, right? Anything can happen in our brain. So the more crazier, the sillier you make it, the easier it is to remember. But I like the logic component as well, because it makes sense for the bridge. So what I would recommend is, instead of just seeing a stamp, maybe the stamp takes up the whole mail, and it's just a big picture of the bridge on there, so it's big in your mind. Yeah.
Or the letter being in a shape and a shape of the Golden Gate Bridge or something like that. The envelope itself.
Sure.
Something
Yeah,
like
that works.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
cool. Okay, next
Okay. Got
location.
it.
We'll do 3 of clubs. So what's your next location?
Next location would be my walkway with
Walkway.
concrete
Yeah.
steps.
So 3 of
Yep.
clubs. What
So
word can you create
3
there?
clubs. CM C
Sound, and then 3 is
yeah, camera.
yeah, camera's great.
Yeah. So there's a digital camera sitting on the walkway.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. That's good. Digital camera
A
sitting on a
very expensive
walkway.
one.
Yeah, I
SLR.
wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't have things just sitting on locations. The more movement you create, like you can actually use a camera, can't you? You can create flash. You can do whatever. So see if you can animate what it is that the camera does onto that location.
Okay. So are we doing something like the walkway is the shape of the camera, or are we doing it's like they're inanimate, or am I imagining a person
Try
holding?
and the best way to imagine is maybe you're using the camera, because if you're
Okay,
using the camera on that location, now you can use sensors, sight, smell, all of
got it.
those elements as well, which make things more
Mm,
memorable. Yeah.
okay. So yeah, I'm using this camera. I'm on the walkway.
Another little tip as well. Let's say you're using the camera on the walkway and the camera falls off you, right? And then smashes onto those, walkway, right? How would
Mm-hmm.
you feel then? You just made it
Oh,
more memorable doing that, right?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Got it.
Cool.
Got it.
So on top of that story now, I want you to add the next card, which is 6 of hearts.
Okay. Um, hash, hash, like a hash set. How about yeah, either something like just hash, like a corned beef hash, or the hash sign, hashtag,
Yeah. Now all
like
you have to
that.
do now is connect this hash to the camera that's fallen onto that walkway.
Got it. So something like me slipping on the hash and then dropping the camera,
Now
or would it have
you
to be
want
the
to
other
do
way
the
around?
camera first because you're memorizing in
Yeah,
order.
camera first.
Camera first and then the hash. Yeah.
That drops onto the hash itself.
Okay. Yeah, you can have that. Just
Okay,
try and visualize the impact that it will have on the hash. Has it made
got
anyone
it.
sad? That's happened. Was it your wife's famous hash? Try
Yeah,
and really get in there with the emotion, because as soon as you add emotions to any of these stories, that's what you recall from. Visualization is
sure.
one, but as soon as you add emotion, it takes it to another level as well.
Got it.
It's funny because when you mentioned that, I thought hashtag swearing, like how you're basically bleeping it out. When you bleep something out,
Yeah, that's a good one.
I go, okay,
Yeah.
hey, so if you're talking emotion, I go, oh, I've dropped my camera, my expensive camera, and I'm freaking swearing. But yeah,
You can
okay.
tell you're an Aussie. That's why when that happens. All right, so we've got that. That's the second location. Now the third location, what's that? We'll do this. There's a final one.
That would be my deck with the 2 chairs and a
2
table.
chairs. Nice, nice. So okay, the first card that goes in there is Ace of Hearts.
Ace now. Okay, so
Ace.
H hat.
Yep.
Okay, so there's a hat. There's a cowboy hat, which I don't own, but it's happened to leather sitting on top of the chair, as if I just walked up and saw it there. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, like I said, inanimate or static objects are sometimes difficult to
Mm,
recall from. So it's like, how could you
okay.
make a memory? Is there wind blowing and suddenly it blows it, slightly to the left? Like, as soon as you imagine just a little bit of movement, it engages the brain.
Okay. Um, we'll do that one for now. Yeah, let's say there's really strong winds around here. We'll just make it moving. The winds are blowing it, and it's almost blowing off the chair.
Yeah, nice.
It's tipping
nice.
off. Yeah,
Cool.
it's right on
And
the
then
edge.
the next card I want to give you to connect onto that is 10 of clubs.
Okay. S- CDs,
Remember, it's
compact discs. No.
it's a k sound. So think of it as a phonetic thing.
Oh,
K.
oh,
Yeah.
got it. Uh, Mark, any suggestions?
I just said cars.
Cards.
Or
Cats.
Cars.
Cats.
See, cars has an
cats.
R in it.
Oh
So I
yeah,
wouldn't
so
necessarily
cat.
do
So
that.
cats
Or
has a
cat.
T in it.
Cats.
Or
Yeah.
that's got a 1 in it.
So words
So
like,
it's not-
you know, case or cuss. I thought you would have said cuss, but that's more sort of American, isn't it? With the hashtag stuff.
Case makes sense.
Yeah. Casablanca. I don't know. You can think of
Case as
whatever.
in like the camera case sort of thing.
Yeah, you can have
Yeah.
kiss even, you know.
Oh, sorry. Were we talking about the ace of clubs or 8? No, we're talking about ace
10,
this time, the
10
number
of
1.
clubs.
Oh, 10.
10
Oh,
of
okay,
clubs.
10. That's right. 10 of clubs. Yeah, so it could be cats.
There's
Would
no
that work?
T.
Oh, wait, but 10 would be 10 or no?
No, 10 is a S or Z,
Sure.
remember? Or Z.
Oh, that's right. It's 0 only. Got it. So we're
Yep.
seeing the 0 is going to be S or Z only. Got it.
Yep.
So
Sup, cuz.
Custard.
Custard, that's a good one. Man, I'm gonna
Custard.
steal this. Yeah, my case was pretty boring compared to custard, so might have to steal that after 20 years of training. I've had case, so yeah, I might have to steal custard off you, sir.
Okay. All right.
Awesome. So now
So-
I want you to put custard onto this hat that's about to be blown away. How do you do that?
I am moving around. Taking out, holding the custard, and it's about to fall on top of the hat.
About to make it fall, dude. Come on.
Oh, okay. It's falling onto the hat.
That's it. Yeah, make it happen. If you're saying it's about to, then nothing happens, right? You don't see anything. So always make it happen. That's the connection. Making it happen is the connection. About to, there's no connection.
Got it.
Cool. All right. So what I want you to do now is maybe just recall this. Write it down in your own time. Is go back to the locations, right?
Okay.
1, 2, 3. And I want you to write down those cards that you remembered. You know, don't say them out. Just write them down. And once you've written them down, maybe thumbs up or something. Let me know that you've finished, just so we can see how you've gone.
Okay. I might actually have to take this as homework because I'm a little bit late for my other appointment, but I might not be able to stay much longer.
Yeah, look, as long as you've got the general idea of how it works, right? 2 cards in each location. That means you only need 26 locations, right, to memorize a whole deck of cards. So all you have to do now is, if you want to memorize a deck of cards, just expand out the rest of your house, right, up to 26. Create the images for those cards, and then associate them and see how you go.
Yeah, I see how this is definitely
basically builds, right? So and that's why you get faster at it when you actually build it, right? So you actually build it, but it's relevant to you because that recalling of your house is easy because that's there all the time. You just need to associate it with the code that you're doing.
That's it. And
but the funny thing for me is I always think of card numbers first, then suit second. So that's why you go, okay, if you say suit first, it's easier because, as you say, club is a club. Cat. Okay, so T is T is 1. So that's one, basically one of clubs. That's an ace of clubs, right? No,
Yeah.
0. No, hold on. Ace is 1. No,
Ace is 1, yeah.
Ace is 1. Yeah. So ace of clubs.
Yeah. Like all you have to do is create images for. There is no set rule, to be honest. You can make total random images for each 52. This way, it just makes it easier to decipher and encode. So you look at the letter, you look at the suit, and you go, okay, that's that. So it just makes it faster for you. Whereas if you're just coming up with totally random, it's going to be a lot harder to just get then and there. You're going to have to really memorize those individual cards. So there you go. That's how to memorize playing cards and numbers, because numbers is using that major system. So all you can do is you can put 4 digits in each location now, or just connect the digits up together. And there you go. There's numbers and cards done both at the same time. Boom.
Awesome. So now the first, I guess, first step is to actually memorize the major system.
Yeah, and I've got a video on that actually on my YouTube channel.
Okay.
How to memorize the major system, how to memorize your locations as well. I've got it all there. So jump on to my YouTube channel.
I'll look for it. Yeah, for sure.
It's there. It's one of the most popular videos that people always ask me. How do I memorize the major system? How do I memorize my locations?
Yeah.
Well, I've done it. I've done the video.
Perfect.
Go and watch it, and then I'd love to hear back from you as well. See how you've done. If you've memorized your first deck of cards, if you've proven to your wife, maybe you're going to do a little reveal video. I don't know, but I'd love to hear back as well and see how you've gone.
All right.
You want the testimonial that says Tansel Ali saved my marriage.
That's it. That's what I want.
Or got me divorced.
or got me divorced.
Holy
but
shit,
I'm happy.
no,
one or the other. Whichever one it is.
No, I don't want that.
I proved my wife wrong.
That's it. Yeah, you'll be in the news if that happened here. You know, US man proves wife wrong.
Tansel, thanks so much for your time. I have to drop off. Mark, nice meeting you, man.
Cheers. Thank you.
Take care, sir. Enjoy the rest of your evening there.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.